Hey everybody, welcome back to another Wednesday afternoon of Zoom networking. Today we have a guest speaker, a young man out of the Sub 2 community of Pace Morby. If you're not familiar with Pace Morby and Sub 2, look them up on YouTube. It's one of the premier real estate education groups in the country right now. If you're not in Sub 2 or aware of Sub 2, they actually have a free Facebook group called Creative Financing with Pace Morby. Look for that. You can join that group and interface with Pace's students. Great people there, successful investors, and just a really, really helpful community. From that community, I've happened to met quite a few young men that are just phenomenal. And our guest speaker today fits right in there with the top of the class. Young man by the name of Dustin Kircher. Dustin, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, JJ. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm great. I am wonderful. You know, every day that I can get up and talk to people and discuss real estate and see how I can help other people is just a friggin' beautiful day. What's your topic today?
I'm going to talk about how to do deals and networking as an introvert.
You know, I love that topic. I grew up as a kid that was very shy. I stuttered. I liked to live in the background and live in the shadows, and I was introverted for many, many years. So, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself or how that topic has some impact for you.
Yeah, so Dustin Kircher, I live in San Diego, California. I've been in the real estate business for 17 years. I've been part of over 5,000 fix and flips all over the country. I've done personally hundreds, and so I've been in the real estate for a while and just keep learning, keep doing new things. But the reason why I chose how to do deals as an introvert and how to network is because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are introverted and they second guess themselves if they can do this business, right? And I used to do that too. I think a lot of it comes down to a mindset type of is your mindset. But once you work on that, you start building the confidence to go out there and start making things happen and doing deals. So it doesn't happen right away, but you got to work on it, right? I started working on myself pretty much as soon as I got into real estate because I realized I wasn't that outgoing kind of person, which you see most salespeople being. I'm more reserved. If you ask me what I want to do, if I want to go to a networking group of 25, 50 people, or read a book, or go to my cabin in the middle of nowhere and no internet and no cell phone, I'd do that later. So I would rather go to my cabin or just read a book. So that's me, right? But I know the benefit of networking and relating and connecting with people, right? It's not that I don't like people. It's just that it's not my comfort zone.
Now, being an introvert and networking is one of my favorite topics. It's more, I guess this is a statement and a question. Is it more challenging, or it is more challenging for introverts to network and get out of their comfort zone?
Yeah, it is. But, like I said earlier, if you work on yourself, the mindset, build the confidence, know that you can do it. Anything that you put your mind to, it starts going away, right? JJ, we met at a networking bit, right? I know you probably seen me. I teach the daily dial for underwriting in the Sub 2 group, but we met at a networking group, and I had to force myself. I was that close not to go to that one. I mean, but I forced myself to go. I always have a goal for myself, and I'm always trying to be in uncomfortable situations because I know that leads to growth. So that's why I do things. That's why I'm doing this this podcast and this Zoom here, right? I made a commitment to myself 2 years ago that I would stop turning down anybody that asked me to be on a podcast. I used to say no. I didn't want to be on it. I didn't want to be on camera. I just didn't care about that stuff. But now I'm trying to get myself in uncomfortable spots and help myself grow, help people around me grow. And that's why I don't say no anymore.
That's phenomenal. I had the pleasure to meet you. And obviously we met recently. God, I want to say Newport Beach.
Yep.
I don't know the Newport area too well, so I'm kind of lost when I get down to South Orange County, but I just go south past Disneyland and I find my way there. You mentioned underwriting. For people that are new in the investment field, what is underwriting for the new investor?
So underwriting is basically looking at a deal, a property, either residential, commercial, and looking at it to see if it makes sense number wise to purchase. And is it going to cash flow? Does it have equity? What is going to be your acquisition on that? And what is going to be your disposition? Which acquisition is the buy and disposition is the sell.
Fantastic. So you as an investor yourself, when you're underwriting, do you wear all the hats yourself, or in the beginning, did you wear all the hats yourself? Were you the acquisitions person and the underwriter and the disposition person? And if you have other people assisting you, how long did it take you to move into having different people wear different hats?
Yeah. So as mentioned, I've been doing this for 17 years. When I first started off, it was mainly flipping houses. And believe it or not, how I got my first 7 deals was by door knocking. So if you can imagine an introvert knocking on a door, trying to talk to people as a 21-year-old, I was very nervous, and I stutter, I get stuck on words. But really, what it came down to is I stopped, excuse my French, giving a shit what people thought of me, and just went out there and started and doing the business. So starting off, yes, I was all hats. I did everything. I learned everything, tried to do everything. Eventually started growing. I did have partners. And then I went virtual, 5 years ago into a separate market and actually built out a team. So, I had acquisition managers, lead managers, I had 6, 7 cold callers, admin. So then I could start taking things off my plate and not have to be so involved on that side.
Now, when you talk about building out your team, are these all individuals or the people you might not necessarily have met maybe around the country, or do you use VAs or virtual assistants out of the country?
Yeah, it's a mix of VAs out of the country, and and then there are folks that are state bound. They weren't necessarily local to that market. Actually, the majority of my acquisition managers were not local because we closed mostly everything over the phone. I'd say 95% of our stuff was closed over the phone. That took, again, building out confidence as an introvert to build out a team, to manage a team, right? Because I have to show now that I have the confidence and the knowledge to move us forward to be profitable, right? Because now they're all relying on me to live. And so that was another stepping out of my comfort zone, right? I don't want people to rely on me. And so I had to realize how to get past that.
Talking about being reserved or an introvert, again, I grew up as a kid that was very shy, stuttered. I had a horrible stuttering problem for many years. People now are surprised because sometimes people can't get me to shut up. But on the flip side of that, when it comes to closing deals and talking to people on the phone, is that something you're comfortable with? Because I know some people are not comfortable talking to a seller or a buyer.
Yeah, so I have no problem with it. I used to years and years and years ago. But what I've learned is when I'm talking to a seller, one, you should have a process. So you should have a sales process. So one of the ones, I learned kind of early on is the Sandler. I know a lot of coaches, a lot of people teach based off of the Sandler method, right? So you have a process, you're going through steps. But what's most important to me is when I'm talking to a seller is I'm listening, right? I'm really listening to what they're saying and then coming up with solutions based on what they're saying. So I'm coming to them as more as a friend and trying to figure and being a solutions provider.
Now, let me ask you a little bit. I don't know if it's introverted investors or new investors, but what do you think are some of the biggest challenges for a new investor, introverted or not, to get the ball rolling? Is it the acquisitions? Is it systems? What do you think is one of the big, or are they equal challenges? What are some of the 2 or 3 key things that a new investor needs to have in place to make their business go?
I think so. When just from my experience of people coming to me and asking for advice, I think a lot of it comes down to, again, is confidence knowing what they're doing, how to do it. And where I always tell people how to get over that is, one, I mean, you shouldn't get paralysis by analysis, right? You shouldn't just keep studying and studying and studying and studying and never doing a deal. What you need to do is build out your group, your team, people that you can connect with that are doing deals already. And then so if you have questions or come across a potential lead or good deal, you can reach out to them for help, right? I'm a big opponent on working and JVing with others, because I know it's going to get me a deal that I necessarily would not be able to handle myself, right? So when I'm getting into new stuff, like I'm possibly purchasing an RV park right now, right? I don't know exactly how to own an RV park, so I'm reaching out to people that have experience and asking them questions and finding out what they would do in my situation, right? So it's very important to be out there networking and talking with people, and that's why I feel passionate about this subject as networking and doing deals as an introvert, right? How can you go about and talk to people when you're going to these networking groups when you're definitely afraid to talk to people, right? Or you're shy. But there's a couple things, I did in the beginning when I first started going to these networking groups. And I don't go to a whole lot all the time. I'm not there every single one, but I try and push myself to go to one at least once every 2 months, on the size. But I always approach it as going in there as a go-giver, right? If you go in there as a go-giver, not expecting anything, not expecting to get anything out from the people you're trying to help, it all comes back to you. I'm a big believer in that. Like, you help out somebody, even if it's not directly coming from them, they're going to tell their friend about you, and then something's going to come about on that side. So I always, when I'm listening to a conversation, especially if I'm going into a room and it's nothing I know about, I'm listening to the conversation. So again, most introverts are very good listeners, and I can pinpoint where they need help. And I say, oh, hey, and just based on life experience or other people I know, have you tried doing that? I'll come up with a suggestion and say, hey, have you tried to do this? Or, hey, I know this person might be able to help you out. Would you like me to connect you guys? That's kind of how I approach a networking event, especially if it's not something I know about. I'm just trying to be the biggest go-giver that I can.
When you go to a networking event, or as a newer, and I talking about newer investors, and sometimes it's even an experienced investor, but when we go to a networking event, should we have a game plan? Should we have a strategy of what we want to do or how we want to go about networking? For example, should we look to, some people just go around walking out handing business cards out without even taking a minute to talk to people. My preferred method is talking to someone for a few minutes, seeing if we're clicking. And if we do, I'm going to ask for a picture with that person and text it to them, because people tend to remember someone that's taken a picture with them and texted it to them. But do you find there's a particular method that you like or that you've used that you might suggest or recommend?
I actually think going in there without a plan is probably your best bet, especially as an introvert, right? Because it's already enough to get yourself to go and show up there, right? Now, if you got a plan and you're like, oh man, I need to get contacts. Oh, I need to hand out my business card. Oh, I need to do this and do this and do that. It's going to become overwhelming. So to me, there shouldn't be a plan. To me, the only point of going there is connecting with people, right? So most introverts are great listeners. So listen, jump in a conversation, or you don't even have to jump in on the conversation, join a conversation and listen, figure out where you can help out, right? Most introverts are relationship based, right? So figure out how you can have and build a relationship, a meaningful relationship, like connect with people that you can actually connect with. I'm not saying go connect with somebody that you completely disagree with, right? Just because they're doing business. I don't care if you're doing $1 billion a year. If we don't connect, if you're not the person I want to be around, I'm not going to connect with you. I don't care. So, and that might be just the introverted side of me, but make meaningful relationships with people. The other thing is, introverts are very persistent, right? Most of the time they have goals and they go and they go and go until they achieve their goal. So just know that, if the more networking events that you go to, yes, you're going to be, adding to your network of people that you can rely on, people that you can call friends, associates, right? So just keep doing that. And the other thing is, I know with introverts, you guys have probably heard this saying is usually the quietest people have the loudest minds, which is true to an extent. But if you do, you need to get your ideas out there. You might sometimes think they're stupid or dumb or not relevant to that, but just talk about them, and you're going to find your vibe is going to attract your tribe, right? You're not going to get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to like you, but this is where I worked on myself a lot was on the mentality side. It was just, I just stopped giving a crap. Like the people that like me, great. We're going to connect. We're probably the same kind of personality types. We're go-givers. We're trying to help people. Everybody else, oh, well, who cares? Let them live their lives. Don't worry about it. Just live yours. Focus on what you want to do for.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I couldn't agree with you more. I talk about networking all the time, and one of the things I always talk about is to be yourself, be genuine, be the same person that your parents love, your kids love, your grandparents love, your grandkids love. And when we're consistent in who we are and when we're genuine with who we are, we can't lose because people are then going to love us because we all have something special. You're talking about JVing, which is the abbreviation for joint venture, teaming up with another investor to do a deal together. What are the pluses and minuses of doing a deal with maybe someone who's local versus maybe the challenges of joint venturing with someone from out of state? How does that play itself out?
Yeah, so I mean, working with somebody local to JV, like you're saying where I live, or if I'm doing something remotely and JVing with somebody out there, like a boots on the ground, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, say for example, obviously, it's beneficial to JV with someone in our local community who I'll be able to meet for coffee at Denny's or something. But sometimes we might have another opportunity in another state. You and I live in California, and some of the better investment opportunities are in other parts of the country that provide a higher return of investment with a lower buy-in. And so there might be someone in another part of the country that has more access maybe to the properties, can be boots on the ground. What are some of the benefits and challenges of JV with someone out of state versus locally? And is there any preference that you have?
So I prefer to partner up or JV with somebody that is actually local to that market that I'm doing the deal in. Okay. One, I think that we're going to provide market insight that you might not necessarily see, right? Most introverts here are very analytical, myself included. I look at data. That's how I kind of choose my markets and what I'm doing. I'm an underwriter, right? However, there's things that you will not know, like that you're just not going to be able to find online. A certain city or town is talking about redevelopment, or the seller, property is in the path of growth, right? Those are things you're not going to be able really to see on most data that you're looking at, right? So I like to connect with people that are more local to that market, right? And then sometimes a seller is going to want to talk to somebody that's local. right? And then now you have your partner to go there and help you out.
Is there any kind of what is the built-in challenge with maybe vetting someone or determining someone that's out of state is going to be someone that you can work with?
Yeah. So, starting off 17 years ago, that's a tough part to do, right? Because they don't have online groups like this. They didn't have networks like this, or like Sub2 or any other ones out there. So it made it a lot harder. But now with all our resources, you can quickly look up if somebody is going to be shady or not. You can ask people, you can ask around, hey, have you heard anything about this person? What do you think of this person? Blah, blah, blah. When I was going to new markets, what I would do is I would call a couple. I'd put down an Excel sheet of a bunch of different people that I saw that were doing deals in that market, right? And then I would, kind of, I don't know, Facebook stock or profile, whatever, look at their Facebook profile, see whatever information I could find, see if they have a LinkedIn. And then I would try and call them. And I would then call like the other 5 and say, hey, do you know this person? But then I would ask that person that I was originally looking to kind of partner up with. I would also ask them about the other people I had found, see if they knew anything and see if there's any kind of a relationship already there. And then I would make a decision from there, like, hey, I have this deal. Is this something you might be wanting to partner up on?
Sounds great. Hey, why don't we see if we can get some questions from our group today? If you guys have any questions for Dustin, just feel free to go to the reaction button down below and click on that and click raise hand, and we'll be glad to take some questions. In the meantime, let me ask another question of yourself, Dustin. Is there a particular part of the country that you find preferential for yourself to invest in, and why?
I'll do Midwest to the West Coast, right? I don't really do anything East Coast. I do some Florida stuff, but I won't go into like New York. I'm not going to New Jersey. I'm not going into those areas, like Maine. So really Florida is the farthest east, or the only East Coast market I'm operating in. But mainly it's Midwest and California is where I'm doing my flips.
So you are doing flips in California?
I am, yep. So that's what I've been doing really the last 17 years.
Wow.
And the creative stuff. I've been doing creative for the last 8.
Okay. As you mentioned creative, we talked about Pace Morby a little bit. For those that aren't aware, why don't you touch on what the creative finance aspect is to real estate for those who are unaware of that?
Yeah, so creative financing can be basically you're just not buying with cash or getting a traditional loan from a lender, right? So that can include lease options, seller financing, subject to, novations. Those are just some of the main ones out there that you can do as a creative purchase. And one of our mentors' friends, Pace Morby, has his Sub2 group, right? And so a lot of us, I see a couple of people in here. Kyle, I see him here. He's in the Sub2 group. So it's a great group of people. One thing I'd like to mention too is I know that the topic is doing deals as an introvert, so I do want to bring that up a little bit more for those who are really trying to figure that out or struggling with it. But if you're, really introverted, really shy, and you just can't get past that, you're working on yourself, and that's completely fine. There's a lot of very successful, shy, introverted people, right? It's all it comes down to is being persistent, knowing who you are and what you want to do. So if you know who you are and you're just not going to get on the phone with sellers, you're not going to go out to these networking groups, you're not getting into the sales side, you need to find someone that's the opposite of you. You need to partner up with somebody that pretty much fills that gap in your business, right? So if you need the sales side of your business, you say you're really systems operated, focused, then you need to find the salesperson. So, a good book on that is, Rocket Fuel. Find out who you are, and then take a disc test. Find out, where are your strengths. So there's no shame in doing that, right? Not, I have partners. I've worked with partners in the past, and find people that don't have or can fill in the gaps of things that you're not wanting to do or not good at. There's no shame to it.
As an introvert, or one who might be, again, as I like to say, on the shy side, that was always me. It sounds like one of your suggestions is to build out your team to some extent, surround yourself, build a couple relationships with people that might have, if not a specialty in a certain area, they might have more of an ability to connect with others.
Yep, exactly. I see your question here, Neela. So the name of the book is Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman. It's a great book. You can actually take a test on that too, to find out if you're a integrator or if you're a visionary. And you could be both. I'm both. Actually, I'm right. And visionary doesn't mean like you're the talkative person, outgoing. It's just different traits. So, but a lot of people, they will rate very high on the integrator side or very high on the visionary side. And then some people, have a mix of both of them. So I love systems and processes. I love analytics. I love data. But I also do enjoy finding out and listening to people and talking to people. To me, where I struggle is just in the big groups, right? I'm not a boisterous person. I'm just going to kind of step back and just listen. And if there's something that I can add value to, then I'll step in and say something. But otherwise, I'm just going to sit in the background and kind of take it all in.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have someone with your experience and expertise. And, I say it all the time, chase a relationship, don't chase the deal. One of the things I loved about meeting you is that you're just a hell of a great guy. You're nice, good personality, easy to talk to. And I thought, I love this guy's cool. I love this guy. And now I'm finding you've got hundreds and thousands of deals under your belt and a wealth of experience. I'm thinking, oh my God, I was in the presence of this guy. So it's you're just genuine and you're humble and you're real. And it's a pleasure to have people like you in our community.
I appreciate that.
So, I know one of the biggest challenges some of the reserve people can have is just getting on the phone with people. And so if they have that apprehension, what do you suggest? Have somebody else make the call for them? Is that what it would be? Or just practice calling, or what would you say?
So there's three things I think you can do. One, you can, if you know for sure you're not going to do good on the phone, and starting off, no one's going to do great, right? I had to learn it, and you just need the practice. So, but if you know you're not going to ever be in that position, then yes, you need to hire, right? Find somebody that can do the calls for you, or partner up with somebody that can do the calls for you, and you provide the leads, they make the calls, right? Mm-hmm. That's one way.
Cool.
The other way, what I used to do to get my training in is, 15 minutes before I started making up my follow. This is way back in the day, but when I used to do my follow-up calls and all that, what I would do is I would call a friend or family for like 15 minutes, have a conversation as like friends and families do, right? You joke around, you just talk about whatever. So then you start feeling more comfortable. So then now when you start doing your follow-up with a seller or a lead, you're having a more open, kind of relaxed conversation. Your mood is a little bit different. The other thing I say is stand up, talk when you're talking with them. It comes out, talk with a smile. You probably heard that before, right? Just make sure you're doing that, and then your conversations with the sellers are going to go a lot better. And the other thing is, don't go in there with an objective. Oh, I need to get this house for 200,000. I need to get this house for 200,000. No, go in there, find out how you can help the seller, what options you can give them, talk to them as they're a friend, and go from there. The third thing you can do is you need to connect with other people, other friends that are in the same business, and you need to role play, just network and I guess, yeah, just call it or role play and with making phone calls to sellers.
Cool. Okay, so we got a question from the audience here. Let me pop somebody in here. Melissa Butts, you are on with Dustin Kircher. What's your question?
Thanks, JJ. Hi, Dustin.
Hi, Melissa. How's it going?
Good, thanks. My question to you is, you made the comment, because I'm in the Midwest, I'm in Wisconsin, and you work from the Midwest going to the westbound.
Yep.
What does that look like as far as partnering? Is it something that if I were to have a deal, I have to, find all the contractors and everything in my area? Or do you actually work in this area where you have, not specifically Wisconsin, but in different areas? Do you have teams and stuff set up that you can work that way with? What does it look like to JV?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the market and where it's at. So I'm not doing a whole lot of flips in other markets. I mean, I'm doing it in Oklahoma, I'll do it in Florida, I'll do some parts in Texas. But if it's in an area that I don't have crews or whatnot, then it's either going to take the deal down to wholesale it, right? So we would JV on that, or we're going to take the deal down to purchase it as a rental or do something creative with it. That's how I'm usually doing my JV deals in multiple markets, right? Like I just got one locked up yesterday. It's in Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. And I'm taking it over sub 2 and I'm going to wrap it. There is no work to be done on it. So it's a quick, easy, something I can, and I'm paying, the gentleman that brought it to me, he pretty much brought it to me because it didn't make sense as a cash deal or a flip. And he brought it to me to lock it up on a creative deal. And so I did that, and he's going to get paid and I'm going to keep the property as a rental.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Burnaby Armenta, how are you? You are on with Dustin Kircher. You had a question?
Okay. My question was, how do you add someone to your team? Like, such as attorneys or like realtors or like other investors? Like, what's your checklist that you go through to get them into your team?
Yeah. So one, when it comes down to other professionals in the business, like attorneys or agents and stuff like that, I like to rely on is referrals, right? Other people that I know that are doing business with these people. That's your best source. If you don't have any referrals, what you're going to have to do is, you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. You're going to, ask around, maybe title reps, right? Or escrow officers, and who do they recommend as a good agent? Or you can ask title reps, who's a good attorney that you've dealt with throughout the years, right? So to me, it's kind of asking other professionals in that business who they're using and why they like working with them. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yep, that's how I go about when I'm going into other markets and I have to find other professionals for the business.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Stephen Louie, you are on with Dustin Kircher. What's your question?
Yeah, hey Dustin, hey, great job. I still am an introvert too, if you look at all the things, but your personality starts to come out more as you become more comfortable in speaking to people, just like you're doing now. So awesome job in the presentation and the discussion that you brought up, and going to meetups and things like this. I never wanted to go to meetups, but I met some of my best partners going to meetups. You can do it on Zoom now, so it's actually a little bit easier. So good stuff. Good stuff. My question to you is just as you built how big's your team? Do you use W-2 employees? Do you use 1099 employees? How's the infrastructure set up from that standpoint? Because it looks like you've scaled fairly large.
I wouldn't say large. I mean, so this last year I scaled down actually. I had 6 or 7 cold callers. I had an admin, 2 acquisition managers, a lead manager, myself, and a boots on the ground partner, project manager, in my virtual market, right? Mm-hmm. And then in this last year, though, because we started doing a whole lot of wholesaling, and we mainly are flippers and buy rentals, and so we got away from our main business focus. So, and then my partner, still a good friend to this day, had some life stuff going on, and so he was moving out of state. So we decided to kind of just go our own ways, just kind of slow down. So now it's myself, and I have 2 VAs that I work with. So pretty much all I'm doing now is focusing on is flipping, which I kind of got away from about for the last 5 years and came back into it. I don't know if right now is the best time anyways, but close some. I got a few projects I'm working on now. Just trying to get them done to see what happens in this next quarter. But so anyways, doing that, and then just doing creative stuff nationally. So I've actually found by scaling down and really focusing on what I want to do, I'm actually more profitable than what I was doing while I was wholesaling. As you know, too, in California, the cost of living is expensive, right? So you got to do a whole lot more deals in the Midwest than what you can do out here in California.
Can I ask you what do you have your VAs do, and where are the VAs actually located?
Yeah, so 2 from the Philippines, and 1 is an admin, kind of just taking care of paperwork stuff, kind of cleaning up my CRM, sending out updates to JV partners and stuff like that. And the other one is we still do direct to seller marketing, but very niche lists. And so he's calling and calling those lists, and we'll pluck a couple of deals out of those every once in a while.
And what CRM do you use? What kind of?
I use REI Reply. It's based off a system called Go High Level. It's great. I mean, if you want something that's kind of just plug and play, and they're constantly improving it for $50 a month, I think is what we pay. It's good, but you can dial out of it, you can text out of it, you can send emails out of it. You can have automated processes. So like I have drip campaigns for follow-up on sellers and even referral partners, and it will send them text or an email or an RVM, a ringless voicemail. And so
it's called REI Reply. Go High Level. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. REI Reply.
Is it similar to Active Campaign, or have you used Active Campaign before?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Currently, I practice medicine. I'm a physician assistant, and my husband will be kind of joining into it. He's a physician. And we're just, super interested in like getting into the real estate realm. For me, it's more about just getting my time back, right? And being able to build wealth and have that legacy for my family. But it's so much, like I've been studying like crazy, and I am one of those people that love to learn. But I know that I can I can go in a rabbit hole where I'm learning all the time, but I really want to put some things into action. I want to take more action, but I really don't know where to start. Like even thinking about forming a team or having a network, I'm like, I don't know what value I can add to them in order to get something back. Like I don't want to anyone to have the thought that, okay, well, she just wants me to do all the work, and that's not the case. I really want to learn. So I'm just trying to figure out from someone who's new to the game, what could I have to offer, or how could I form like a JV when I don't have much to offer from the real estate investing world?
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty common question for new folks coming into the real estate world, right? And especially into like new groups. I mean, you're coming into sub two. Sub two is a big group, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. So the one thing I would say is you kind of it starts off with you figuring out what you want to do in the real estate world. I know you want to get your time back, and that,
Right.
and most investors want to do that. That's why they kind of get into this, right? But
Correct.
are you planning on building out a team to be direct to seller? Are you going to want to buy properties? What kind of properties are you wanting to buy? Those are the kind of things you'll want to definitely figure out.
Right.
The other thing I would say is Caroline Kane in the group, right? Has the newbies Zoom. Make sure you attend those, and then just start connecting with people in your groups, and just building the relationships. I know you say, you're new and you're fresh into it, and you don't have anything to provide. But based on your personal life, there might be things that you can help people out, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that have reached out to me that had no real estate experience, but they were able to provide some kind of value based on whatever they're doing in their life now or done in the past, or just, going out there and trying to find deals for people. So, a lot of people I see, they go and find a motivated seller, and then they could bring somebody in at that point to take it from there. And then you guys work out a deal on splits and stuff. So that's one way of getting in and providing value and learning from somebody. But
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you. Yeah, like I think, coming in and just looking at everything, I'm like, I really want to buy and hold. I'm looking at like small multifamily units. But it's just, when I come in, I want to make sure that I'm not picking up another job, because I currently work. I love what I do. I will be probably, getting some days back, but I don't want to just drop my patients like a bad habit, because I love them, and I just want to make sure that I'm not jumping into something to where it's going to be another job, because I really think I am going to enjoy this. It's just another adventure, and I just want to make sure I'm doing it the right way before I go all in. I want to make sure I'm right, and I don't make mistakes that's going to be costly.
Yep. So I think the first step for you is figuring out exactly what you want to do in the real estate world. Do you want to be the buyer, or do you actually want to build out a team and business out of it?
Gotcha.
And either way, it's fine. It's just, again, it comes down to your preferences, your life, right? Do you have the means to do it right now? Do you not? Do you have to, it's all these kind of things you really have to ask yourself, like, where am I at right now? And what do I feel comfortable doing? And then aligning yourself with the people that can fill in those gaps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Tiffany,
well, look forward to seeing you more, Tiffany. And
yeah, absolutely.
Tiffany, just to add to that a little bit, as Dustin says, to find the people that fill those gaps, fill those spots. I always say that you need to build your network before you need it. And if you find that, now I need to find an integrator. Now I need to find an acquisition person. Now I need to find a disposition person. And when you start focusing on the task, you're then chasing the deal, or a person to fulfill that function, which to me is chasing the deal. I always say chase the relationship before you chase the deal. So that's part of what Dustin was saying about going to RIA meetings, going to networking events, getting out, just meeting people, building your relationships first. And that's what this group is part of. Not only do we have the guest speaker, but we have the breakout rooms, which will be in later, but it's building those relationships. So I'm hoping you'll join this group, and you and I can interact, and I can help you with your visibility on Facebook as a real estate investor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Kyle Steins, you're on with Dustin Kircher. You got a question for the man?
Yeah, it's a little off topic, but especially because I don't think you do a lot of buy and holding and stuff in California. But have you sold any properties on any kind of contract for deed or agreement for sale type of arrangements in California?
California, no. I purposely stay away now from rentals in California.
I have some land that I want to get my cash back out of it with the a down payment, and so I finance the rest of it. But I'll talk to my attorney about it, because I asked my broker, and she was like, I don't think those are allowed in California, but we'll speak.
Yeah.
Dustin, I want to thank you for coming on today. We're going to have the breakout rooms coming shortly where we can all meet in smaller numbers and get personally acquainted. And some of you could be in a breakout room with Dustin Kircher himself. And that's always a lot of fun. So hang on for that. If you guys are watching the presentation on YouTube, please like the video down below, subscribe to our channel, Flip Side Up with JJ. And again, stay with us. Look for more upcoming videos in the future. We have more rock stars coming at you like Dustin Kircher. So you guys on the call, hang on. We're going to go to breakout rooms in just a minute. Everybody else, see you later.